Hello and good morning, everyone. It's Michelle Mahar here this morning, and I'm joined with Beatrice Kenthai. Thank you so much, Beatrice, for giving me the time to join me on this morning for my Pivot with Positivity series and talk about keeping a positive mindset and pivoting in your business and in your life as well during these challenging times that we're going through this year. So thank you, Beatrice. If you want to give us a few words about who you are and what you're all about.
Well, thank you so much, Michelle. It's so nice to be here with you. I really appreciate this. And positivity, I think, is my second name. People usually call me positive. I'm a very positive person. So I am a transformation coach. And you may wonder, what is a transformation coach? What I'm doing is I work with women who are 45 plus years old, who are entrepreneurs, and who find themselves stuck in a marriage or a partnership and don't know what to do about it. We all have an instinct, a gut feeling, and maybe deep inside they know what to do, but sometimes we don't want to look at it, we don't want to voice it, or maybe we don't even realize what the solution might be for us on the long run. So I'm coaching you, I'm helping you to find the answers that are within yourself. So coaching is not therapy, it's just helping you grow and find whatever your inside knows already, bring that out, and therefore create action. I am pretty new in this at the moment, and the reason that I got into this purpose in my life to really become a coach helping other women was that I myself am presently or have gone through a separation after 32 years of marriage. This all happened a bit more than a year ago, and it's been quite traumatic and still is. And it made me think about what is really my purpose in life now. And I worked with another transformation coach, and together we came to the conclusion that this is something that is at my heart. And I think my whole life has prepared me for this. I've been a virtual assistant for 10 years. I still am very limited clients, but the transformation coaching is really something that I think is necessary in these times. If you think about COVID, how we in the beginning thought it would only be 1 or 2 months, and now we're in month 7, I believe. And
almost
it puts a huge strain on relationships as well. And I see it in my circle of friends and acquaintances too, that things have changed. You know, things are difficult. There might not be enough income. People are worried about paying the mortgage, the rent, and there's friction in relationships. And even entrepreneurs, women entrepreneurs who are successful, have been in business perhaps for up to 10 years or more. So we all feel the impact of COVID and what it does to us. You know, our social life is different. We cannot hug anymore. We cannot meet people. And it's all something that we miss terribly. So when there's somebody who can help you get through these changes that we are experiencing, it's always a positive thing.
Right, exactly. And that's the whole thing with a coach. A coach is somebody who can see things that you don't see because you're so close to the situation.
Right.
You know, just the same as if you were to have a business coach who would help you, or a mindset coach, because you are so close to your business and you're in the situation, you can't see things. Yeah. It's the same concept. And the fact is that, yes, we're coming up on 7 months, and for some people, I mean, it's affected everybody. The emotions have been, it's really been a roller coaster, even if you have, even if you have kept a positive mindset and had a supportive circle. It's still, I know for myself, I have those days that I get into the whole, I can almost feel that fear coming in, setting in again, thinking about the future. And the fact is that, there's nothing we can do about it. And there's nothing we can do about what the future holds. And worry's not going to help anybody. It's just going to make us, in some cases, it can make you sick, stress you out and make you sick. And that's not what you want now either.
No, no. And I think the fear factor is something that I find is very big. And, the media and everybody plays on the fear. And
Yes.
I believe that whatever we think about, we attract. So if I think about fear, oh my God, I'm so fearful that I might get this, I have a much higher chance, I think, to get it than otherwise. Doesn't mean even with not having fear and being totally positive that you won't get it. But I think you reduce the chance tremendously because there's the mind-body connection.
Yes.
And our mind, sometimes we don't even realize what our mind does that has an effect in our body. So, I think we have, like, for me, there's huge awareness in how I live now. And I believe with you too, and many other people, maybe with everybody who listens to this podcast. Our thinking needs to change. We need to change from fear-based to trust that things will work out, and to trust that, we're not getting sick, or that we are healthy. Even thinking not getting sick is not, in my opinion, the right way to do this. Like,
right.
I am
not
healthy. Right.
Yeah.
I go to bed in the evening, I say, I am healthy. I am extremely healthy. And it shifts your thinking. It shifts your awareness, right?
Right. Because your subconscious mind doesn't know what's real and what's not. So whatever you tell it, it will believe regardless. And then there's the whole field of epigenetics. And I listened to Dr. Joe Dispenza and how he basically made himself heal. He healed himself from, when he was told he wouldn't walk again and all that. So there is that mind-body connection. And if you get wrapped up into that fear and you just consume it, and you talk about COVID all the time, and you just concentrate on the numbers and look at the numbers rising and things like that, you vibrate. The energy you vibrate is lower, and then it affects your immune system, and same thing. It's not healthy at all. So that's one thing I found at the beginning is I was watching the news all the time. And I think that's just because this was so foreign to us. So
right.
Like it was like living in a movie. It just didn't feel real. And I was watching the government updates and all that all those kind of things. But everything was changing those first 2 weeks on an hourly basis.
Exactly.
But I think when it came to, so maybe, for the last 2 weeks of March, I was kind of keeping up to date with those things. And then I just said, no, I'm not going to watch any more of these updates, and I'm not going to watch the news at all. And I just totally stopped any of it, because I think that is something, and it's made a huge difference.
Yes.
Because the fact is, you can't do anything about that side of things. And the media, like you said, they're just trying to sell the fear.
Exactly. I totally agree with you. I don't watch the news anymore either. I have a digital subscription to one of the newspapers, and I look in the morning and I read the headlines. And if there's something that I think I need to know more of, I will read it. But I refuse to listen to all this negative impact that comes from the media. Yes, we need to be informed about what goes on in the world politically and whatever. Absolutely. I mean, we can't just be what I call ostriches, stick our head in the sand and hope that goes, like everything goes away.
Right.
But I don't have to listen to this expert and that expert and this person. Like this morning, I read online in my subscription that now they're saying we might get up to 1,000 cases every day by mid-October. That's fear-making. It's a fact. Hopefully not. It's a fact that they think it. But what does it help me to read this? What does it help anybody to read this? It doesn't, right?
It doesn't, right, exactly.
Yeah, because by this time, after almost 7 months, we are prepared. We know what to do. So we don't need to know this.
So we just continue doing what we are doing. And the whole hand washing, wear the masks where we're required to do so, hand sanitizing, and limit contact, make sure to social distance.
Exactly. And open windows, right? I find Opening windows is very important, especially now with colder temperatures coming. People don't like it so much, often because it will increase heating costs, but it'll clean out the house too, and it'll bring in fresh energy from the outside.
Oh, true. Yeah, true. And it has cooled off quite a bit.
Oh, yes.
Now, a bit too early for me.
Yeah, for me, winter doesn't have to come at all, but unfortunately it will.
Me too.
And it has its positive sides too, if you're thinking about white snow, sparkling sunshine, blue sky. I mean, it's beautiful, right? I mean, it's uplifting.
It is.
It just goes on a little bit too long.
Like a couple of days would be okay. Yes. So I think that I do find that we've had the time now, because especially when we were shut down to the point where we couldn't really leave the house except to do the grocery shopping. We had, like you were saying, we really had the chance to go inward and actually be present, because prior to this, I don't know, everybody I've spoken to, really, you're going at such a rate, always busy. And I mean, busy became a word that it was like, you're taught it's good to be busy, but it wasn't busy productive, that's for sure. It was just rushing from place to place. And now I think we've had the chance to sit back and think, did I really need to be doing all that I was doing, or going, where I was going, and that kind of thing.
Yes.
It's really given us a chance to think about how you were living your life before and how you want to be living your life as we come through this.
Absolutely. And I think now people maybe even plan differently too, because you plan to go to the store when you expect that it's not as busy as at other times that you used to go to, and things like that. So there's more planning going into it. You go out less and you spend more time at home. And maybe there's, like, also for families, I think it's a huge opportunity for families to get to know each other again. Because very often families have TV dinners and then the kids go and play in the computer and do this and that. That might continue, but I think there's a chance for people in the families to say, hey, you know what? Let's sit down together and have dinner together. And, spend half an hour together and talk about what happened in the day and what we feel and what we think, and become this family unit again that we might have lost before.
Right, exactly. And that's something that, as well, just in terms of getting to know your neighbors and talking to your neighbors. I know I've spoken to some people who really said that, they would just get in the car and go wherever and never really see their neighbors. And so many people started going for walks when we were shut down, and going out and actually, talking, stopping and actually having a conversation with your neighbors, because you weren't rushing around. And also appreciating nature and noticing the trees, and noticing back in the spring when the buds were coming and the birds were singing, and squirrels and things like that, which again, we just would be rushing, or your mind would always be thinking of the next thing you had to do, whatever was next on your schedule. Or if you had families had to take the kids here for whatever sports and things like that.
Yeah, there's an openness now. There's an awareness. I find it with myself too, Yes, I like the spring and I looked at it, but now it's even more. I have a teeny weeny garden, and yesterday it was still beautiful in the afternoon. I sat outside and I saw all kinds of butterflies flying around, and I just took it in. And then last week at some point was the very first time I ever saw a hummingbird in my garden. And I thought, wow, in the middle of a relatively sprawling city, this teeny weeny hummingbird came to my plant and was drinking out of the plant. And I watched it, and it was so beautiful, when it goes in and it rings, and if you look at the wings, they beat up to, I believe it's like 1,000 times a minute. It's a wonder to watch this, and now you can look at the leaves. It's just, it's heartwarming to look at nature and enjoy it. So this is something that that is really a wonderful thing that people can do now in order to help themselves be more uplifted in this time of less contact, of being more at home. So we'll find other things to enjoy and become more aware of life, really, and what life is all about, I think.
Right. It's a true appreciation of nature.
Yeah.
And the fact is that being in nature does rejuvenate you, and it restores your soul, really.
Yeah. And even if you walk with 6 feet distance, you can still have a conversation, and you can still share laughter and a joke and point out beautiful things. So that's something that many people are doing now, which is great. I see a lot of people walking in my neighborhood now, much more than before.
Yes, there's so many more people walking in my neighborhood, and you see so many more kids out, and during the summer, you would see so many out riding bikes and everything, many more than I remember seeing. And we've been here quite a few years.
Yes. So it seems to me that we're morphing a little bit from, I'm going to put one extreme and the other, from couch potatoes to people who are actually enjoying going outside and taking it in and having these feelings of contentment, walking in the fresh air and stuff. So there's a change happening, I find, despite the fact that we're restricted with meeting friends and socializing. Do you find that too?
Yes. The fact is that, like, we do miss in person, and we miss hugs from other people. But the fact is that we have this technology. We can go outside. We have to be really grateful for what we do have. Yes. We have a roof over our head. We have food. We don't have any restrictions in terms of anything like that. And we have this technology, which is the next best thing to being in a room with a person, that you can actually have a conversation. And when you were talking about going for walks as well, what friend of mine has been doing it is she's doing this net walking.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, you go for a walk and you are networking with somebody. If you're an entrepreneur, somebody you don't know, and you go for your walk, but you guys have a conversation and get to know each other and find out if you can, how you can help one another, exactly. Which is what this is all about. And then you get your time in nature and your exercise, which is also very important with our immune system and everything like that. So it's definitely, the fact is that it's all in your perception and how you see things that are happening, and it comes back to being grateful. And also, it was really nice to see community coming together and people offering to go get groceries for seniors and things like that. But also, I've seen a lot of collaborating in terms of entrepreneurs coming together to see how they can help each other, maybe doing some sort of event online together and different aspects.
Again, it's this being forced to think outside the box, right? Because I think we got so used in our own ways of doing business, of leading our lives. And then it got turned upside down, and we had to sort of readjust, and we had to think. And when I think about, like, my hairdresser came up like in the beginning of COVID, pretty soon after, and she was selling little packages that she put together for her clients. So if you had your hair color, she would put the hair color in, she would put the brush in, she would put in towels or whatever you needed. And she had this little beautiful package, nicely wrapped, and she sold it to her clients so that the clients could then at least, keep on coloring their hair or whatever was needed. Or she would go on and she would do a Zoom meeting, a webinar, where she would show the basics of how to cut your hair. Like if you had bangs, how do you cut bangs that you don't end up zigzag or whatever? How do you do it? A very simple technique if you know how to do it. I just happened to see that particular episode.
Right.
Those things, and people are much more willing to give away advice for free than they were before. And I like
Oh,
that
yeah.
way of thinking, you know, okay, what can I do to help somebody else survive this, or, you know, help in a certain way? And you know, I love that people are really coming together.
Yeah, we saw that. I think you know, back in April, there were so many people coming online with free workshops and free
Yes.
webinars, and it did get a bit overwhelming to a certain extent, because I found myself signing up for everything I was interested in, and then then I realized this was a bit too much, and I felt as busy as I did prior
Mm-hmm.
to the whole shutdown. And I thought, well, this isn't where I want to go. So let me, you know, figure out exactly what I want to do and exactly what interests me and narrow it down. But yes, that's the same thing. And my hair stylist did that same thing for me with my hair dye, which I was
Mm-hmm.
able to do during the interim when they were shut down. So that was yeah, and exactly. And going on Zoom and showing people how to do things at home. It was a great way to keep their name, like keep their customers and their clients aware of them, and keep, you know, their name
Yes,
there, so that everybody, it was still top
exactly.
of mind. Because you don't want to hide in the sand. And that's another thing that people have realized, if they weren't already on social media.
Mm-hmm.
This shows you how important it is to make sure you are out there, because now
Yes,
this is, you know, online is really
everything,
the only
everything. Yeah.
way to conduct business, except for, you know, stores that are open and things like that. But even people with clothing boutiques
Yeah.
who set up web stores where they might not have had it before, now they've got both in
Yeah.
person, and then you have the online presence too.
Exactly. You know, I know about one clothing store who does online fashion shows. Every
Mm-hmm.
Wednesday night, they're on Facebook. I haven't watched it. I only heard it from a friend. I haven't watched it. Every Wednesday, I think they have an online fashion show, and you can order from that fashion show. They put the, you know, I mean, obviously a guiding chart, a size guiding chart, and you can order it, and it comes delivered to your house. If it doesn't
Right.
fit, you return it, you know, for small or bigger, whatever. But what a great idea. Who would have thought about an online fashion show in February? Nobody. Everybody
And
would have
you
thought you're
wouldn't, and
nuts.
exactly, you wouldn't have thought about it if it weren't for this. And
Yeah.
I think that this has pushed a lot of people to adopt technology who may
Yes.
have been hesitant to do so. And as we were saying before, before we got online here, that not everybody knew what Zoom was before, but everybody sure knows now. And even we
Yeah.
have the grandparents who are in long-term care homes or not, that are using FaceTime or have been using Zoom to see the grandchildren. So
Yeah. Yeah.
everybody has adopted
Yeah.
technology, and I think it's also quickened things, because
Yes.
some of these people who, you know, may have had this idea that they wanted to do, to have the online store in addition to the physical brick and mortar, or wanted to do this, you know, online fashion
I
show, and
agree.
thought someday, it kind of made
I
you
agree because
act.
they might have thought, sorry, go ahead.
It made you act, you know, it brought you into action, because the rug was pulled under everybody.
Yeah, yeah. And I think, again, there is also maybe a bit of the fear factor that might have been there before, where they said, will this work? I mean, an online, as an example, online fashion show. I mean, will this
Yeah.
work? Can this work? And then there was no choice. So you try it out, and voila, all of a sudden you have success. And it makes you
Mm-hmm.
feel better. Makes you as the store owner better. It makes the clients feel better. It's a win-win situation, right?
Right. And then, just like some of the online networking that has happened now, it makes you realize that you don't have to necessarily go physically to a
Yes.
location. You can just, you know, you can save that travel time, and just think in the winter as well. You don't have to worry
Yeah.
about the snow or any of the, you know, what the highways are going to be like. And you don't have to worry about traffic, and you can just be there and join into the networking.
I
And just like,
totally agree. Yeah.
just like the fashion show as well, people now probably realize, oh, this is much easier if I can just buy my clothes from the computer when I'm
Yeah.
sitting at home
Yeah.
instead of going to the store, trying it on, all that stuff. And yeah, I think a lot of us have figured that we prefer that.
Yes, and I think it took on, in fact, quite quickly. That's the nice thing, because very often in the old days or the before times, people would be much more hesitant to try out new ways as a client or the business owner. And now we were just thrown into it and we did it.
Or also, I think people would have been too busy or made the excuse that they were too busy, running around all day, didn't want to necessarily log on to a fashion show at night. But then when you don't have that option to go out to events or socializing or anything like that, then you're just craving this other avenue of, because that's as social as you can get right now.
Yeah, and it might just have started as something to pass some time, and then you get hooked on it, right? And you say, okay, I'm going to watch this fashion show every week. I mean, they have some great stuff, yes. And I want to support them. And that's another point that I want to raise is most probably in your community too. And what happened here, like my community here, the little town, everybody is trying to support the businesses within the town. Like when the restaurants open for takeout,
right,
you would order from within the town. You wouldn't go into the next town. You would say, no, these people have been good for me. They have been here for years, created their business. It's almost my responsibility to support them. That's amazing.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's the whole thing that we did see, and especially restaurants. There were a lot of people supporting it with takeout so that they could continue, because otherwise being shut down for all those months,
it's terrible.
Yeah. And unfortunately, we've seen quite a few people that have had to close their business as a result, because it just was not sustainable. But at the same time, this is also the chance to create something new.
Absolutely.
Just as you were saying, everything was taken, the rug was pulled out from under us, but it also, everything was magnified. So it showed us where there were problems in all the different systems that are out there, whether it be the healthcare system, the long-term care homes. We saw that. It highlighted all the problems there. The school system, it's shown us that, well, as we were already aware, it's not necessarily, it's archaic and it needs, some overhaul. And the corporate system too, right? Like all these corporations that said, oh, people could never work from home. We couldn't get the same work done. And now we know that they can get exactly. And I actually think that corporations are getting more out of their employees when they're working from home.
There was, in fact, a study done already, I believe. I read it just recently, where they said that now with people working from home, they are much more productive and there is more work done. So, I wonder why companies are still insisting of their workforce going back. Some businesses, I mean, obviously, if you work in a factory and, you have to
have to be hands-on,
But when you have, let's say, an office job,
right,
I don't think you need to be there, really. I have a friend, and she's now
going... At least not all the time.
Yeah.
Like not 5 days a week necessarily.
Yeah. Well, my friend who works in a company that's 1 week in the office, 1 week off, right? Okay. But she said before the company changed back to 1 week on off, she got to know some of her colleagues whom she otherwise would never have gotten to know because of these Zoom calls that they had every week or every day. I'm not quite sure, but on a regular basis. And she said there was much more of a feeling of community and togetherness on Zoom than when they go to the office. Interesting.
And it is very interesting because I've heard that from a lot of people, how they they found that they were able to have deeper conversations with people and getting to know people more. I think maybe it's just because you're coming into their home, and you're seeing them in their home environment versus at the office. So you're really getting to know them better.
That could be. I never thought about it from that point, but it could very well be. And I think also the chit chat. You know, when you're in the office and you get your coffee in the morning and you stop at the store and you chit chat a little bit, but it's very often, you know, the weather and the
weather, yeah.
Right? The weather.
The weather, traffic.
Yeah, exactly. And I think now it's morphed into something more deeper.
Yeah, more meaningful because, well, I think that also is because of, you know, what we are going through. It's really, it's really made a lot of people aware of how precious life is and how precious everything is and how it can be taken away from us even if we never expected it to. Like as little as being able to sit in a coffee shop. Who would have thought that would not be allowed, or that you wouldn't be able to go see sports. And you would no longer get to go to a concert and you know, or a movie theater, or even watching TV. Like even watching TV, they all, because there's no more new television shows because they haven't been able to. They had to stop filming, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Just like all the new movies didn't get to be released, so there's just so many things that we never would have thought could be stopped. So just if you flip that around and think about what we can create, because now we've got the opportunity to create something new. And, you know, a world with more community and compassion for one another.
Yes, more togetherness, more
togetherness.
Yes, more helping each other, more positive. I mean, that's what I really wish for. And I think we are on the verge of becoming that. I think, you know, I think the world is a better place now for these things than before COVID. We're getting there, you know.
We're getting there.
Growing. We are growing and we are adapting and we are, you know, consciously living our best and really moving forward. And I love that.
Right. Yes, we are. Yeah. And I think that, but I think there's still more work to be done. And we, like you say, we're continuing to do so. And it's hard to say how much longer before we have live events again, but I don't anticipate it to be anything this year. That's for sure.
Oh no, for sure not. For sure.
Yeah, for sure not.
We'll survive without them too, right? I mean,
right. And now we can come together as a community, but not only locally as a community, but as a global community too. And this, like the, you know, online events, networking events, conferences, things like that are global, and there's so many more people that you can connect with.
Yes.
Where you might not have before.
Yeah. And we put more effort into connecting with these people as well, which is awesome. You know,
because we crave the connection.
Yeah, exactly. So all of a sudden, you know, you connect with somebody who is in India, in China, in South America, in Africa, which before you might not have done, but you know, more on social media now. So you see more posts from people where you think, oh my goodness, this person resonates so much. Why don't I just connect with this person, right? On Facebook, or send out a LinkedIn message and, hey, let's connect, let's set up a Zoom call and see who we are and how we possibly might even be able to help each other, right?
Right, exactly. And I've seen so many people who have really expanded their businesses globally more than they might have otherwise.
Yeah. Beautiful, huh?
It is, for sure. So thank you so much for joining me this morning. And it was great to talk to you and talk about everything that, you know, your transformation and what you're doing now. So do you, in terms of a website, is all that set up for your?
No, the website is not yet up, but I can be found on LinkedIn and I can be found on Facebook as a transition coach. The website is, I'm still working on the wording. yeah, that should hopefully happen within the next month or 6 weeks, hopefully. So
okay.
yeah.
All right. I will put your
on,
information. Oh, sorry.
yeah.
I'll put your information up underneath this interview as well.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate that. And it was wonderful chatting with you. Thank you so much for giving me that opportunity, Michelle, and all the best to you.
Thank you. Thank you. And I look forward to when we can see each other in person again as well.
Yes, so do I. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much.